Hello everybody, my name is Ginger Snap and welcome to the Manga Studio layer tutorial. This tutorial was requested by Kathy on a Facebook manga artists forum. So yeah, I'm just gonna start by explaining why we have layers, and I'll move on from there. We'll talk a little bit more. Okay, so on the side here, this is where your layers are. You can drag everything out from here. The paper, obviously the paper is the back, it's just the white paper on the background. Layer 1, you just click on that, and moving over here, you just pick one of your drawing pieces. I usually like to go with the pencil first, and I usually go for like a slightly dark blue, and then I start lining things in a little bit. So I'm making like a basic shape. And let's skip here. Okay, so to explain, first you've got the body layer. I usually call it the body layer. Over here you can turn up and down the opacity of the layer. The reason why you do that is so that when you draw another thing on top of that, you can see drawing the other thing, like the clothes. So if I turn this off, I've got the shape of the clothes on top of that. If I bring it all the way back up, you can see the full body shape underneath it. If I was to come down here to this little page here, new raster layer, there's a difference between a raster layer and a vector layer, but I only use the raster layer. I'll do a tutorial on vector layers later. Raster layers are pretty much all you need, unless you're doing something that needs to be perfectly detailed and straight and clean for a logo for a company or something. So yeah, I've moved down the opacity for this character. I've added a new layer by clicking on new raster layer right here. And what I would do is I just do where I would like the clothes to be. So let's say you just add a little kind of hippie t-shirt or something. Just like this. The reasoning behind layering, you don't have to layer too much. Not if you know what you're doing. Like if you want to just, let's say it's just the clothes is all on one layer, maybe that's what you want to do. So with the clothes all on one layer, I'm just doing this really fast so I can explain. You've got everything that you need already. So you've got the shape of the body. You don't have to redraw everything or try to draw both like the shape of the body and then drawing like a collar and then going like this to draw the full thing, and then maybe you'll want to do that. Like you don't have to do that because you've got the body shape. It lets you change the way you want to put the clothes on top of it. Oh, by the way, that was the eraser tool over here, the one that kind of looks like an eraser square in the corner. All of your tools are on this side that you need for drawing, so we'll explain that in a little bit. But yeah, that's how that works. The reason why you turn everything down is so that each thing right here is the most necessary thing for you to see. So maybe I'm like, oh, I don't really like the clothes I picked for her. Let's try a different set, and then you can add another layer down here, new raster layer, and then change how you drew something or make it a different kind of clothes. This is just specific to clothes right now, just for the sake of the tutorial. But yeah, you can do anything you want. Now, like drawing it in, lining it in, is different. You would go to the pen tool over here. There's G pen. That makes a nice straight line. Mapping pen is a little different, and I'm a little confused as to why it's different. I'm not really sure if maybe it has more dots or not. To me they look the same, but I only really use the G pen. I don't really use the mapping pen for anything. The turnip pen is kind of bumpy. See, like it's got like a bulk and then it goes to a point. Calligraphy pen. Yeah, the calligraphy pen is like almost like a a sideways brush so I can draw like calligraphy. So it'd be like Jinja Snap. Like that. Everything is sideways. Like that. Effect line. Okay, so the effect lines when you're drawing become straight, sharp lines. We'll go to, this is where you pick your sizes. I forgot to say. This is where you pick your sizes down here. Drag and drop, like a normal pen. You're just trying to draw a line, but it sharpens the edges and the way the line looks. I only use that for maybe, let's say if it's black, I'd be like, oh, well, then this happened, something like that. You know, like, attack. This person is really strong, magical powers or something. Texture brush is kind of bumpy and bulky. The smaller that is, the better it looks, to be honest. So, there we go. So it's kind of like a little bit of a calligraphy pen with really loose pen pressure mixed with the texture pen, which is like a bulky. But you can change everything here, like your brush stroke sizes, so that they're a little different. Your stabilization, so that it's not as pure. All of these settings over here. Oh, you can make the corner pointed. All these settings here, you can just play around with them to get the right effect that you want. The analyzing would be like a sharper, obvious edge, and then this one here at the bottom is like a shaded, fuzzy edge, which you can see more clearly when you actually, let's say, paint the whole page. Just give it a second. Yeah, okay, so there we go. You can see that with the texture pen, I painted with the anti-alias, okay, that thing. When I have that on strong, it's fuzzy, so the pixels are more like blurred out. So when you paint to it, it is a little bit, it gets like this white line around it, which is kind of bad. But if you have that all the way to here, which would be like none, then you'll get something that looks like this guy right here. Alright, so let's take that off and we'll do some more. Back to the layers. I keep getting distracted. So yeah, down here in the corner, where I am right now, right over here, there is a scrolling up and down option to scroll in and out. Over here, rotation. So if you want to go back to normal rotation, just go to the 0, which is sometimes a little difficult to click to. There you go. But we're working on our layers. Over here by this side is delete layer. So if you want to delete anything that you've done, like I did this dress, I can just delete the dress. Like, let's say I like this one better, or I like this one better, I'll delete this layer. So now we've got the figure, the layer of where we're going to draw on top of, and I put this little black outline thing just to make it look nice. So new raster layer, over to our pen tool, make sure it's on your G pen because it's got a nice little streak to it. And I'm going to go down to black. And right now you can see, yeah, this is too high up, so let's bring it down a little bit, the opacity. And let's bring her body shape down a little bit too. So now you can see where everything goes together, where lighting will hit because of the creases in the body as well as on the clothes. So here we go. Oops, wrong layer. Okay, so there's clothes layer, this layer. Oh, also the layer name, if you double tap on the layer 1, double tap on that, you can rename it. So let's call this lined in layer. And now we know which layer that is. So start by just doing this. Okay, so yeah, I'll add some more creases. Now that we're back, you can see why what I've done on one layer. So we've got the full body here on one layer. We don't need this closed outline anymore. And now, yeah, we still do need the pattern though underneath. So as you can see there, I fixed a few mistakes. That's what another thing layering is really good for. I fixed a few mistakes, like the outside being really, really big, and obviously this isn't perfect the way it is even. It's just a quick little drawing. But you can see that, yeah, mistakes were fixed, sizes were fixed. Creases on the lined in layer can be put where parts of the body actually stand, like where the shoe is, there'd be a crease here. That's why layering is effective. And the reason why I have not put in the hair is another reason why layering is effective. And the face too. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in a new raster layer on top of that. And we're going to add the eyes and maybe the mouth. So we'll do a little eyebrow too, why not? So we've got a face now that if we're not happy with, we can remove without destroying any of the layer underneath. So if I tried to draw this, let's say on the lined in layer, and I went like this, and I went smiley face, and I went, well, if I did this, and I did this, and I did this, and then I'm like, oh wait, no, I don't want that, and then I start trying to erase it, but I'm causing problems to like different parts of my drawing that I didn't mean to cause problems to. That's why you layer things. You want to have something underneath that you don't have to worry about, that will still be there. So if I'm like, oh, well, I did like that face, there's the face. You still have the face again. So if I call that layer face, double tap on the name and type in face. Now I've got a line in layer, a face layer, and an under layer. So under layer, lined in layer, face layer. And now we're going to do another layer. So a new raster layer. The reason behind this one is the hair. To do the hair, you just kind of work on the hair like this. So now, see, that's another problem right there. I've made a mistake, and I can just erase it because this is on top of this. It's all the way on the top. Whatever is over the other layer is on top of that layer. And I'll show you that with a red here. See how the red goes over the lines? If I was to move this layer by holding it, dragging it, and dropping it under the lined layer, you'd see that this red layer is underneath this. So if I tried to erase the red layer, it's still underneath. But if I brought it up to the top over the lined layer, you can see that it's on top of this part right here. It's on top of everything. It's like layering pieces of paper that you've cut out on top of each other. I believe I just deleted the hair layer by accident. So let's move back. Using these arrows up here, go back a little bit. You can also use Control Z. I sometimes, out of habit, use the arrows. And yep, just double clicking on the name layer 2, rename to hair. If you get stuck, I generally don't name my layers because I kind of can keep track without worrying about it. Just out of working on it for so long. So I'm just, drawing where I'd like the hair to be over the other layer, which, by the way, you can also bring down in the opacity so you can see what you're doing without being too confused by the background lines. So yeah, let's zoom out a little bit down here. All I'm doing is just drawing in some extra lines. I'll take that one out. We're going to have the ear is going to be there. So this is why layering is great. I can just add where the lines are going to be for behind the ear without actually drawing the ear again. And let's pop, her hair's going to go down here, so let's put it here on her shoulder. And her hair's long, so we're going to do this all the way down here at the back. So now you can see why the layering is important. If I remove this layer entirely, all you've got left over is the hair and the face. I can remove the face, only work on the hair if I want to. Add back in the face and bring back the opacity up for the clothes layer. Not too high so we can see where the actual clothes is. Now we're going to erase the hair. Okay, yeah. You can use the wand tool if you want to on the lined work to get out a certain section and delete everything inside that section. So I could maybe delete everything inside this little square. That would make it easier for erasing. But I tend to either go to the eraser on this side and just erase like this. Oops, wrong layer. Go to hair layer. Just erase like this, removing anything that it doesn't touch the black lines. So we know that her hair is going to be behind her. So we remove everything that's in front of her. Go back a little bit. And it's okay if you don't erase every single thing here because it's going to be inside that black line. So if I bring up the opacity of the body, it'll hide that line anyway. So all the way up. You can either erase the way I'm erasing with the eraser, or you can go to the pen tool and stay on the pen tool, but go down here to the transparency. There's black, white, transparency. Sometimes I go to the transparency and make sure I'm on the hair layer, and I erase using the transparency tool. Yeah, this is where it gets confusing because you see how my hair goes over her shoulders? I was just working on the hair layer and I'm just fixing little things that I think need to be fixed. But I also realized that I started erasing hair that I didn't want to. Let's go to the line layer and now we can erase the shoulder underneath the hair because we know we want that in front. So let's erase that. So yeah, there's nothing really too complicated about it. All you're doing is just you're going back and forth between your layers because you know what you want and what you don't want visible. If you're still on the hair layer, I've gone back to black instead of transparency, and I'm just fixing these little holes that I left behind just to show you for the coloring in part of this. Having leftover holes isn't a good thing, but also you can use your paint bucket to, how do I say this? It closes a gap. So if there is a hole, it's not so bad. It won't actually, the liquid from the bucket won't spill out of the hole. Like this tiny hole here, that doesn't matter because it closes the gap. But I'll explain in a second, and we will zoom out real quick. And we're going to check out our layer at the bottom. This is the red layer. We now have the form of the person. A few things you can do. You can just move that over. You click on the layer, go over to the up and down move layer thing. Up here at the top. It's like an up, down, side to side, and a little arrow. You just move that. And you can either keep it, or if you want to do another one, or delete it. So for now we're just deleting it because we don't need it. Or you can just turn the eye off and that makes the layer invisible. So back to the lined in layer, the opacity is still down quite low. So let's bring that back up so that we can see it fully the way it's supposed to be seen. The face, the hair, everything's at the right opacity. Okay, so now that we have our person drawn, the hair is removable, the eyes removable, and the body, they're all separate layers. I can't stress that enough because that was the main problem with that people wanted to understand as to why they would do that, why you would separate the hair from the eyes and from the body and things like that. It's so you could edit them individually while you were working. So if you wanted to make a new layer and add a bracelet, So that's a really awful bracelet, by the way, just so you know. Really awful bracelet. But you can go into your lined layer now and delete the little bit of line that goes through them without affecting the bracelet. Also, if that's not what you wanted or where you wanted the bracelet, you could go to the layer with the bracelet on it, grab the bracelet, and move it somewhere else. Or maybe it's a necklace. You know, you could just add it anywhere you want because it's on a separate layer. Or later on, sometimes you can't go back far enough in your undo. Having it on a separate layer means you can delete the entire layer altogether. And you don't have to worry about not being able to go back, undo that many steps. And you can just delete it as soon as you don't want it there. So yeah, maybe this hair isn't what I want. Maybe I want to try a different hairstyle. Maybe this face isn't what I want. Maybe the clothes aren't what I want. So now we're going to go and, now that we've decided, yes, this is what we want, entirely what we want, I'm going to talk about merging the layers into one layer. So on your keyboard, you press, I believe, I have to remember, I do it now by, okay. It is, on your keyboard, Control E. That is what you're going to be using to merge all of your layers together to make one. So I'm holding down Control, hitting E. Now the hair and the face have become one layer. So you can see that here. Hair and the face have become one layer. Now I'm going to hit Control E again. So everything on the page is now one layer. Before you layer, make sure your opacity level is up on each of your layers, or you're going to end up with something that looks like this. Got a black layer, new raster layer, a black layer, new raster layer, a black layer across. So if I bring the opacity down for this one and the opacity down for this one, and then I merge all of them together with Control E, I'm stuck like that. It doesn't change. It's going to be see-through in parts. It's actually stuck like that. Unless you Control Z and you undo everything that you've done. But you can only do that so many times. So I'm just going to delete that as that explanation layer. We're in our lined layer, totally merged in. Now we're going to go over to our paint bucket. This is how I like to paint stuff. And you've seen in my other art time lapses how I generally block in my colors first. So let's say, yeah, her dress is going to be like this. So let's make it that way. So all I'm doing is I'm down here, I'm picking my colors, and then I come back up here and I just drop it on. We'll make it a little bit lighter. For gold, I love drawing gold. It's one of my favorites. Just because it's so shiny in this. I always do like a really kind of deep yellow. So we just add our deep yellows. And I'll do the gold in a second. I'll just show you guys, this is how I block out gold. We're gonna do skin now, so we get a nice skin color. Yeah, that's a nice skin color. Let's add that here. Here. And just, doing just the usual normal kind of painting. It's very simple. You just pick your color with your bucket. I missed a line here, so I'm just gonna go down and add in this little line here. Back to paint bucket. Okay, so how do I explain this now okay, so if you're using a mouse, right click and hold will give you this eyedropper tool. So when you're going around your page, you can see over here in this section that when I right click, I get the color that I am over, like hovering over. So if let's say I was doing purple and I've just painted this purple and I realized I missed this little finger here, it's not colored in the right color. I right click on my mouse, go over to my color that I want, stop right clicking, and then just continue coloring. So adding on other colors is really easy. You just get a color that you want. Let's say this orange color here, orangey yellowy color. So her hair is going to be this color, I guess. And doing all of her hair like this. Oh look, we missed a spot. So right click, you got the color for the skin, and drop it. Right click again, color for the skin on the back of the eye, and drop it. Right click, color for skin. So it's really simple. And if you're using a pen, you use your right click on your pen. So because I have a pen and I have an Intuos Wacom tablet, I just right click where my right click is set on my pen, and then I can just do that. So that actually kind of looked nice. Now we'll do a different color. So I'll add a different color here real quick, just whatever comes to mind. We'll do that super fast. So now our character has color, except for her eye. Let's fix her eye. Give her a blue eye, why not? Okay, so everything I've gone over so far, I used to make this. This is where I start the shading. I usually go for a 3-tone shade. So it would be the color of her dress, and then a slightly darker color, and then a slightly darker color than that. And the reason why I do that is for the lighting, the actual light itself, where the creases are, everything pops out better. But I tend to not design how I'm going to do that before I do it. What I go to do is the wand tool on the side. It looks like a magic wand under the loop. Click on your dress color. So here's the little outlined area. Clicking on okay, hold on. I'm so used to doing this on my own. Okay. Clicking on the dress, holding down Shift, and then you just tap again. That will make 2 selections. Hold down Shift again, tap again. That will make the next selection all one big selection. If you don't do that, if I just click on the sleeve, click on this, it will lose the selection over here. You have to hold down Shift after you click on something, and then you can add extra things to that list. So back to the dress here, we'll click on that. Click on the top part of the dress, holding down Shift. Click up here, holding down Shift. So now I'm going to my pen tool. I'm right clicking to get my eyedropper so I know the color just in case. And down here I'm just going to pick a slightly darker color. I like to go a little bigger on my brush size at this point. So here is a slightly darker color, just ever so slightly. I'm just kind of highlighting the areas that I already have in a way. Just kind of highlighting them out. This is more of a shadow. Also under her chest here would have a little bit of a shadow for the effect of weight and extra mass. Under here, her arms, obviously, there's a little bit of a shadow under your arms. And across here at the top, where the wrinkles would be. So you can add in wrinkles this way. You're not affecting any other part of your drawing except the part of the drawing that you want to affect. That's why we use the layers and the wand tools. So here we go. Right, without removing our wand at all, this little menu bar under here has a bunch of different options on there. We don't want to use those until we're done. Now we're going to pick a darker color. So we pick the color we have here and then a darker color. Slightly darker, just pops it out a little bit more. For the darkest areas only, really. Just a little bit extra. Just to really bring out the shape of the character. And often you don't notice how well this is working until after you've done it and you come back and you look at it. So here we go. We've got, that's enough, I'd say. We have the outline, Now there's some other things we can do. There's a spray bottle on the side here on the left. So click on that. Highlights and shadows are your new best friend. Um, the highlight will give you a highlight of whatever you have right-clicked for the eyedropper. So highlight, right-click to get the color you want, and then just color. Just color like you would spray a normal color here. So my lighting is over here. So I'm just adding the lighting to where the lighting is. My shadow, with that same color chosen, is over here. So I can just add in a little bit of shadow where I want them. Now, sometimes I've tried my best not to use these too much because I find that it puffs it a little bit. Makes it a little too fuzzy. And you lose a little bit of detail. But that is what you can do as well. You can add into it. So if I see this here, it says clear selection. If I hit that, it turns off the wand tool. And that right there is what you're left with, just this part of the dress. You can see that it's all shaded in nicely and everything. I can go back and remove my shadow and my highlight brush that I did, and you'll see what it looks like then if I remove it. There, it's a bit more cartoony that way, a little less slightly trying to be real, like having realism, but I like that look, so that's just me. But yeah, that's how you would do that. So you just repeat the process. You just, for the skin, I would just click on all the areas where the skin is by holding down shift. I've got my wand tool open, clicking on those areas. This is where all the skin is. It's just you're telling yourself where everything is and where the brush is going to be able to go over. I right click at the end to get my color. So now you can see down here it's like the peachy color for her skin. I go down to a darker tone. Remember, the 3-tone idea is to just pop things out. So here we go, I'm just lining this in. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is just like a little drawing for funsies. Alright, so now that we've got this done, I'm just going to fix a few things because I just really want to. So all I've done there is I've changed the color again. I'm using the eyedropper tool by right-clicking and holding it. Eyedropper tool pops up, so I can change my colors instantly. Back to, as long as I know what color I want from the colors I already have, the eyedropper tool is perfect. Saves a lot of time of you just searching for the color that you lost because you can't remember, you can't figure out how to re-get that color like from the palette again. If I'm like, oh no, what do I do? And I go down here and try to do it. So we'll do another tone down just for the parts of her face here that are a little darker than the rest. Like over her eye would be a little bit more, in her ear would be a little bit more. Shadows on the shoulders to pop out where that is, and maybe in between her fingers here. Back over here. Now, we can also go lighter too if you wanted to. So let's say like a dip on her lip here, her back of her eyes might need a different color, like a white or something. So just get the main color, the light color, by right-clicking, bring it over here to a different color, and just add in that little extra. Just a little extra lighting at the end to pop things out. I like that peachy color, so let's add that. Okay, so now that I've turned off my wand tool, I hit this little guy down here, this line through here. Scroll out. You can see it coming together slowly. We're going to do the hair next, so clicking on the hair, same thing. You're just holding down shift and clicking. You're on the wand tool. Oopsie, press back. That'll happen sometimes where you'll select the whole outline of the drawing instead of the inside section of the drawing. So here we go again, right-clicking on the hair color, darker color, shading in the areas, where there's darkness. I said that very weirdly, darkness. So just adding in the lines. Oh, that went too far. I'm right clicking on that color, right clicking on this color. See, it's just trial and error, just fixing things as you go along. When you go up a hair color too, it'll really pop this out. So, a little bit messy up here. I'll do that part again. That's why wand tools are amazing. You just click on the area you've messed up. Oh, it's okay. You just right click on the color you want to fix it with, and then just color it all back in. There, screw it. Let's do it that way. There. Alright, so now let's go a darker color. So I right click on the dark color to get the color. Come down here, make a darker color, and pop back up here. And there we have it. There's the darker color for this. Just adding in the shading. At this point, it really is just how you draw. It's completely up to how you like to draw things. This is just my version of a quick way to shade things in without having to worry too much. So there we go. There's that. Now, with this method, I just want to state you're going to have some issues like these little white dots and stuff everywhere. There is a way to fix this that is quite easy. I just use the wand tool, click on the background where the white is. I click on, so basically it's everything that's in the background that isn't the drawing. So like just the white background. I go to this little guy here that says invert selected area. Click on that. So now it's selecting everything that is her shape from the inside. And I go to black and make a big brush so I don't miss anything. Create a new layer. And you can either do this ahead of or underneath, but create a new layer. It's over it now. And I'm just going to color this black. So now you have a cool silhouette too if you wanted it. Now, dragging that silhouette underneath the lined layer, that white that you saw is gone. All the white dots, all the issues that we had is gone. I'll show you how it looks without it. So I've turned off the black layer underneath, and you can see all of these little problems, these little white dots. If I turn on the black layer, it fills in those dots, so you don't have to worry about the background light or the layer showing up behind it. It makes it look a lot cooler because it looks a lot more thicker and fuller, which you can see if I do this. For some drawings it's a lot more obvious than others, but that is how you would fix that issue. It's very simple. We'll do that one more time just to show you guys how to do that, just in case I went too fast. Okay, magic wand tool, click on the background. Oopsie, wrong layer. Magic wand tool, click on the background. Click on the white areas, everything that you'd see, just click on the background. Here you've got inverted selected area. Click on that. Now you've got that area selected. Make sure you're on another layer so that you don't destroy your line work that you've done. Color it in black. And turn off the clear selection so that you're not in the wand tool anymore. Drag that layer underneath, and there you go. You got your layer on there and a layer on top of that. That's how you do it. That's how you fix that problem, if you have that problem. So if you do have that problem, you can now Control E and merge that layer. So now the black layer is merged with that layer. You don't have to worry about that ever again. Doesn't have to be another layer. I'll just delete this other layer that I made to show you guys. So there you go. The white is gone. So we're going to move down to the gold. This is how I do gold. One of my favorite things. I'm using the wand tool, selecting on the area and holding down shift while I select on things. I usually select by color. I choose all the skin at once, all the hair at once, all the gold at once, in groups to make it faster. So I've decided I'm on my G pen here. I am right clicking, holding to get the color, and I'm going down to a darker color right here. So I'm shading in with the darker color on the edges, only on the edges. So we've got a little shadow, a little shine on the sides here. Okay, sometimes I like to go up a color over here and I do like a little streak just for the light shine to hit it. And now this is where it's different from the other parts of the tutorial. It's similar to the dress where we use the lighting, the shadow and the highlight. What I do on shadow is, instead of it just being a yellow shadow, I go to orange, slightly darker, a bigger brush, and I shade in the color slightly, ever so slightly. I leave a little bit of gap of yellow here. Highlight, get the highlight of the color yellow, shine it up a bit. So it looks silly right now, but you'll see in a second when it's done. I'll go back to shadow if you want. So you can just, you know, work your way around how you do it. It's pretty much just shadows and using orange, slightly oranger color against the yellow. If I right click to clear the selection, if I like finish the selection, zoom out, you've got a nice kind of a golden kind of color to it, which is really nice. It's the shading stuff makes it more of a metallic-y look than the shadows and stuff make it more of a metallic-y look than just line shading. That's the difference in the picture. If you have all shading, it's not going to be obvious that you're doing a different texture almost. It's hard to explain, but that's how I see it. What I'm doing here is just the cuffs. For this one, I like to add a little bit of a shade here, just a little bit. So yeah, you can definitely see it comes together really fast this way by holding down Shift, clicking using the wand tool. Just press back if that happens. And it happened again. The more accustomed to the program you get, the faster you'll go. So if all I'm doing here is right clicking, changing the color a little bit, putting it in where you would see the dark. Like this, maybe a little wobbly for that one. Add a little highlight, would just be a slightly little bit higher of a color. That's actually too bright, so let's do a slight increase in color. There we go, like an itty bitty little bit lighter, just enough that you know it's got a little extra mass to it than just a straight flat color. So there we go. Oops, we missed the bottom. So wand tool, clicking on that. Your G pen tool, pick a different color. Just go like this. And learning where things like ruffles and stuff go is all just your own taste or your own idea of where things should be on your drawing. So wherever things go, that's where your shadows are going to be. So it's not, I have really no control over the difference of how you draw, or like how your picture will turn out based on your understanding of shadows and lighting and stuff. Because it might be 1,000 times better than mine, that's for sure, because sometimes I'm not so good. But yeah, there we go. So then, sometimes I add the shadow. I just go to the airbrush, shadow, little bit. Whatever color you're on is the shadow it's going to be, so just keep that in mind. There we go. There is our person. Everything is now on one single layer, so you don't have like 60,000 layers of everything. The first layer, let's go back over this again. First layer was the drawing layer. So yeah, the drawing layer. second layer we did was, oops, so let's go back. Second layer we did was the face. So we did the face. Then we did the hair. We made sure that we cut out everything when we were drawing that was here. So like the body would be here. We drew on top of that. That was the clothes. So we cut out the hair was here on top of it. This part was erased. We started by using the wand tool. We merged with Control E. So that's merging layers. Just in case you guys. So that would make the hair layer, the eyes and face, and the clothes layer all one layer. So that would make this a layer. We talked about the pen tools, which would be the G pen tool, which is this guy, the mapping tool, the turnip tool, which is kind of weird, the calligraphy tool, which does this kind of cool thing, effect line, which becomes literally an effect line depending on where you have your line, the texture pen, which has a little weird bumpy thing about it. Oh, it also has like a drag. I forgot to mention that. A little drag to it. When you lift your pen off, it drags in that direction. Talked about all of those. Talked about the shadow tool, which is like a nice shade. If you just go over it like that, shadow tool. Highlight, which you can't do anything with, by the way, until, let's say, you have this. Highlight that. You need a color to highlight in order to highlight, basically. Shadow, you need a shadow. Shadow is different. You don't really need a different color to shadow. So there you go. I think I have a cold. That's why I sound weird. There's other things you can use too, like the tone scraper, the blur and stuff, but I'll go over those later in another tutorial. But that is how you do your layers. So yeah, I hope that was helpful. And if you guys want to see more tutorials, please leave me a like and a comment and let me know if this helped you guys out. I'd really like to know. I love helping people out for stuff like this. So let me know if it helped you out at all, or if you don't understand something, I will comment back as soon as I can and maybe leave a tutorial if you have a question about anything. But yeah, my name is Ginger Snap. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys later. Bye.